What's going on, everyone? So the first preseason game of the season, Taurean Prince looked like a guy that had never played the game of basketball. I mean, he was atrocious. He had like more fouls than he had minutes at one point. It was pretty rough, right? He just looked sloppy. But after that game, I talked about how, like, hey, it's preseason, can't get too into it. He's a veteran. He's a guy that we have a large enough sample size in this league to know that he's going to be good. He'll be fine, right? First preseason game of the season. Guys are trying to get their feet wet. They're trying to get in game readiness. They're trying to catch up to the speed, and there's no simulating the actual NBA games, right? You can play in the Drew League. You can play at your local Y. You could run scrimmages against your fellow teammates, run scrimmages against other teams. It's not the same thing as actual in-game NBA basketball, right? And a lot of guys we saw game one really struggle. I mean, even a guy like Christian Wood was rough the first two games. Since those first two games, the last two games, he's looked great. Getting back into the flow, looking like Christian Wood that we know and love, right? And Taurean Prince, same thing. He had that one bad game where he looked like a guy that had never played the game of basketball before. And since then, he has been fantastic. And since then, he has really made a very convincing argument for starting alongside the other starters. So he has now started twice with the actual like D'Lo, Reeves, LeBron, and AD. Both times, he has been fantastic, right? And last game, 4 or 5 from 3, 5 of 6 from the field, 17 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist. I mean, the guy, 2 steals on top of that. He is showing the two-way versatility that Taurean Prince was thought to bring to the Lakers. And we saw Jared Vanderbilt in the first game. He got the start, right? It wasn't with all the starters, but he got the start. And the idea was it's probably most likely him just to keep the continuity. I also have been a big advocate for Jared Vanderbilt being in the starting lineup. I think, one, you want to keep that continuity from last season. The team that led you to the Western Conference Finals, keep that chemistry intact, keep that all locked up. I know Rui Hachimura, there's an argument for him to be made as well in the starting unit. I just don't think that he will be as dynamic and as good as he will be if he comes off the bench, because just like we've seen with Jared Vanderbilt, just like we've seen with Taurean Prince, they just are spot up 3-and-D style guys. That's not really Rui Hachimura's game, right? Rui is more dynamic offensively than that. I think he needs more opportunity than that. And I don't want to see him just get relegated to being a spot-up corner three-point shooter. But a guy like Taurean Prince, that's his bread and butter. That's what he's built a career on. And I've talked all offseason about how I think it's either Jared Vanderbilt, or if you don't go with Jared Vanderbilt, I think you need to go with Taurean Prince. Now, in Jared Vanderbilt's defense, he has a heel injury, right? He still very likely could be the guy to start. And we haven't really gotten to see him in preseason. Who knows if we even see him at all in preseason? The Lakers said he's fine. It's just precautionary, right? It's preseason. You don't need to overexert him or have him hurt. He is fully expected to be good to go come the actual start of the season against the Denver Nuggets. And so therefore, I expect nothing nonetheless. But what this has done for Taurean Prince is now put him in a position to really show and display what he can do with the starters that he might have not have gotten as much of an opportunity if Jared Vanderbilt was playing this entire time, right? Like, same thing with Max Christie, right? Max Christie, if Cam Reddish was healthy and he didn't get hurt after game one, even though he was atrocious as well and Max Christie was great, but still, I think that Cam Reddish would have been having a more of an opportunity where Christie's kind of shown some nice flashes here. But I think more than anything, Taurean Prince has really capitalized on this opportunity. He has shown his chemistry alongside the other starters, And he is so valuable and such a threat off the ball constantly. When you're talking about a guy that's 40% from three, playing alongside LeBron James, that usually has a lot of success, right? I mean, championship winning success. And also you have several other playmakers in D'Angelo Russell, Austin Reeves, that all can just playmake and create for him. You have Anthony Davis, who's a huge threat that can pass out of the post, that, you got Taurean Prince wide open. It's more times than not, you can expect it to be butter, right? And the more that we're seeing that starting unit of D'Lo, Reeves, Davis, Prince, and LeBron, the more I am falling in love with that unit, right? Prince is it just looks like it's always been meant to be, right? It looks like a unit that has just been together forever, right? Like, it looks like a unit that you could see winning an NBA championship. And look, I've talked about how I could see them starting Jared Vanderbilt, and I still think that there's a real argument for Jared Vanderbilt, and we'll touch on that here in a second. But I said that, they could start Jared Vanderbilt and then close with Taurean Prince, and have Taurean Prince closing in the lineup, unless Jared Vanderbilt is much improved from the 3-point line. If, let's say Taurean Prince is 40% from three. If Jared Vanderbilt is 35, 36%, I would probably still start Jared Vanderbilt, just because he is so elite defensively. Prince is very good defensively. I mean, he's built an entire career of being, your prototypical 3-and-D style player, right? That's how he's made his name, right? So he is that. He's a great 3-and-D player, a great compliment in the starting unit. But Jared Vanderbilt is next level on the defensive end, right? I mean, in his versatility, plus Taurean Prince can be a little, and we've seen it, a little foul happy at times. Although I will say, last game against the Warriors, he played 20 minutes and didn't have a single foul, so that was impressive. Claps to him. But he's not Jared Vanderbilt elite defensively. And every game we play, there's going to be that guy that we need to slow down as much as possible, that very likely Jared Vanderbilt can defend, right? Unless it's Joel Embiid or, a Jokic, right? But even then, those teams, you still have a Jamal Murray, right? You still have a James Harden or Tyrese Maxey or whomever you need to slow down that game. And having Jared Vanderbilt, he really does provide that. And I would rather go with the elite type defensive guy that can slow down and has a history of huge success slowing these stars down, because I think we have enough offensive firepower between D'Lo, Reeves, AD, and LeBron. I know at times the offense was stagnant last season. We haven't really had that problem this season, or at least preseason. But I also think a lot of the issues last season were just lack of chemistry, right? I think a lot of just the slow starts can be corrected with the actual just progress of chemistry building, right? And so I just think that if you can slow down a Luka or a Kyrie or a Steph or, Damian Lillard or whomever, right? I would rather do that and then trust the other guys offensively to carry the offensive load and kind of slow down their engine, right? Rather than, okay, well, now we're playing team defense. But D'Lo has been playing good enough defense that if that continues, I think you can trust the team defense with D'Lo, Reeves, Prince, LeBron, and AD. I don't know. It is still a tricky thing. And I still, I wouldn't be mad at all, right, if they started Jared Vanderbilt, right? If Darvin Ham said, hey, you know what, we're gonna stick with Jay Vanderbilt. Fine, cool, perfect. That, I'm not complaining about that at all. But I also think it comes down to him offensively, right? If he's still 30% from three, then I think you got to go with Prince. I do, because yes, you're taking a drop defensively, but the jump offensively is massive, right? So like you're going from like a liability on the offensive side, but elite defensively, to very good defensively and very good offensively, to just a better balance, right? And also, I like that we've seen Taurean Prince not settling, right? He's shown that he's more than just a 3-and-D guy. We've seen him take guys off the dribble. We've seen him drive to the basket. We've seen him not settle, do the little pump fake and attack the rim aggressively or physically, right? Like, those are the things that I really like, and he's comfortable in that. Like, we've seen Jared Vanderbilt do that at times, and like he's capable of it, but he can be a little awkward or a little clumsy at times doing that, where Taurean Prince he seems like he's a guy that's done that for the last, however, but he's been 8 years or whatever he's been in the league, right? Like, that is something that he's shown. Look, I've done this. I've been there. I've done that. I can handle it, right? You can see him getting the ball, pushing the pace. He doesn't have to wait for a point guard. We've seen Jared Vanderbilt do that, but again, at times it can be a little awkward, be a little clumsy. Also, Jared Vanderbilt, his hands and stuff, right? He's still, like, we saw him even in the first game he was played, right? Still, like, fumbling the bag at times, right? Beautiful pass, and it's just like he's not ready, or he just doesn't catch it right, or whatever. Right? You don't really have to worry about that with Prince. And also we've seen teams have to either A, leave him open, and he's making them pay when that happens, or they have to glue a guy to him. And if they glue a guy to him, then how do you stop the Lakers offense? Right? Because you can't keep a guy glued to him and double team Anthony Davis, because there's 3 guys gone right there. And D'Lo is a 3-level scorer that's shooting 40% from 3. Austin Reeves is a 3-level scorer that is shooting 40% from 3. And LeBron James is LeBron James. You're not, how do you stop these guys? Right? How do you stop and slow down the Lakers? You can't offensively. And I mean, we've seen it in preseason so far. Now, I get that defensively teams aren't as aggressive or physical defensively against the Lakers as they would be in the regular season, and especially the playoffs. But still, I mean, it's not like teams are just saying, like, we're not going to play any defense. Like, no, like, even the Warriors were going after the Lakers like it was game 7, right? Like, it was actually a really good game, a really good battle. And so, I've seen these teams try to defend the Lakers with Prince, and there just doesn't seem to be an answer. And I just really think Taurean Prince is making a very, very valid, tough argument for him to start. And I mean, that was something that was reported like a couple weeks ago now, right? That Taurean Prince looks really good in the starting unit, and he's making a real argument to start. And now we've seen him in preseason, and I wouldn't be surprised if opening night he's the starter for the Lakers against the Denver Nuggets. And I think at this point, like, you're almost better off going that route, right? And then, defensively, you'd be fantastic off the bench. And then you could have kind of Wood and Rui kind of be your primary offense, right? Because think of your bench defense. You'd have Gabe Vincent, who's probably our best on-ball point of attack guard. Then you have Jared Vanderbilt, who, again, is one of, if not the best on-ball point of attack defenders in the entire league. And then you'd have Max Christie, who has been great defensively, or Cam Reddish, Cam Reddish was very good defensively. He was terrible offensively and just clumsy and just didn't have a great game, but he was very good defensively. 6'8", 7'2" wingspan, right? So right there, you have 3 excellent perimeter on-ball defensive guys, with Christian Wood, who has been very serviceable defensively, Jackson Hayes, who's been very serviceable defensively, and is a good pick-and-roll defensive big man. Oh, and you have Rui Hachimura, who's excellent defending power forwards and just bigger players. So the bench unit, I mean, that's the kind of bench unit that if you wanted to do a hockey change and you have a lead, you can trust that they'll maintain that lead. Because defensively, they're especially if they're having to defend bench units, like, I mean, that's cake. Like, I mean, that's stop, right? Like that's just you just giving us a second serving now. So I don't know. I think that there's a real argument personally. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? Do you think, like, yeah, we've seen enough from Prince. We got to start him. It just looks too good not to. Do you think, no, like, stick with Vando, or do you think we go elsewhere? And look, just because, like, I still believe that Darvin Ham is going to kind of adjust the starters based on matchups. Like, I really do believe that. But, like, what is the consensus starting unit, right? More times than not, more games than not, what is the starting five that we go with, right? But I do think, you play Milwaukee, right? And they got Brook Lopez and Giannis. You maybe want to go a little bigger, right? Maybe go Jackson Hayes at the 5 and AD at the 4, right? Same thing with, like, Minnesota, right? Do you maybe go with Rui because of his success defending Karl Anthony Towns, right? There's arguments to be made. But anyway, again, love to hear it. Let me know down in the comments.